Reverend Dionne, can you just take a moment and talk to us about the B movement, because it was birthed out of a painful place?
Yeah, it definitely was. So the B movement for me really came from a place of brokenness. I lived a lot of my life, and I'm talking about adulthood, really having a sense of who I was, but really conforming to what other people desired from me and expected of me. And so therefore, I found myself really trying to fit into other boxes, really being defined by other labels. And not that all of those labels were negative, you know what I mean? But they just weren't who God called and created me to be. And so honestly, out of my own pain and brokenness and desire to know who I am in the Lord, I cried out to God and just asked him to show me who he called and created me to be. And as he began to speak to me, I will never forget this day. I was just like at this time we were in our old home, our first home that we bought together, my husband and I used to pray in our guest room. And so I was journaling and praying in the guest room, and I remember the Lord just saying to me so clearly, Dionne, just be. Don't try, don't feel the need to pretend, just be. And the B movement was birthed out of that. I began to have more conversations with other women that really did not know who they were and who they are. That so many of us have been given different labels and have been defined by our past trauma and pain and circumstances or what the culture expects of us. And we allow these things to define us, but they really take us far away from who God intended for us to be. So really wanting to create a space where we can come before the Lord authentically and allow him to peel back so gently and so lovingly the layers that we have that have been grafted onto us, and really kind of getting back down to the bare bones of who he saw us being before he created us in our mother's womb.
Yeah, and so this idea of just be, because God created us to be human beings, it's so foreign to us, right? Because we're used to doing. And so can you unpack that concept of just being? How do you start to just be?
Yeah, so one of the things that was crucial for me was, and is, staying at the feet of my Father. Staying at the feet of the one who created me. We get sidetracked when we move away from him, when we look to the culture to define us, when we look to social media to suggest where we should be by 29, or who we should be married to by 30, or how many kids we're supposed to, we get so far away from who we are intended to be when we don't stay at his feet. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect at this, because life is hectic and crazy, and we have 3 children and ministry and all these things. But I know the tug and pull that I feel in my own spirit when I'm not at his feet. I know how overwhelmed I feel, how chaotic it can feel when I'm not at his feet. But when I stay at his feet, and I bring my whole self to him, all of my pain, all of my brokenness, but all my joys and my worries and doubts too, I then give him permission and room to speak into me and to call out of me what he's put in me that I may not even be aware of. So I would say the most important thing is to stay at his feet, stay in his word, stay in his presence, and be open to hearing from him and what he desires to speak over you.